Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Bytes podcast. This is episode number 157 of the show. That's right. We're quickly approaching 160 episodes. I'm Ramon Mejia.
I'm Edgardo Acosta.
And every single week on the Bytes podcast, we bring you the roundup of the week's best Geek and Tech news. We discuss that news and, of course, anything else we happen to be interested in that week. And a quick shout out before we begin the show, though, to a couple new Patreon supporters we have for the show. These guys are actually willing to give us money to keep doing this. So thank you guys. We have two new supporters, Conan Whalen McCain and Brad Thomas. These two gentlemen are actually willing to shell out $10 a month each.
I love you both. And that name's awesome. Conan Whalen McCain.
Yeah.
How is he not an action star?
You just see it
And nothing against Brad.
going across the screen.
Brad Thomas sounds just as good.
Beating up some bad guys, getting the babes. He is our superhero, so there you go.
Love you guys. Love you.
For being great supporters. Now, of course, we have some great stuff coming up in geek news, including...
We're talking about the Amazon card delivery, Moviepass changes, choose your own adventure movies, XForce members revealed, the movie trailer Showdown, and much more.
Absolutely. Of course, we begin the show, though, with geek news. And in geek news, we're going to begin with a couple updates to some stories we talked about last week on the show. The first one is about Chloe Sullivan from Smallville. I'm honestly surprised I remembered her last name. I don't remember real names for people I actually know. Some of them related to me, but I can remember that name for some reason. Remember we talked about her last week. Her real name is Allison Mack. She was arrested on charges of sex trafficking conspiracy, and forced labor conspiracy. She was released this last week on a $5 million bail. Now, to put that in context, Bill Cosby, convicted rapist now, was released on a $1 million bail. So there you go. So she was released. If you don't remember that particular story, Allison Mack, who played Chloe Sullivan, she was part of apparently this sex cult group who was originally this woman-focused empowerment kind of movement thing going on, but apparently it slowly changed into this sex culty thing where women were forced to have sex, do manual labor for people. People actually, became their female slaves. It was this whole big investigation, and her and the guy who was running the whole thing, Rainier, face minimum sentences of 15 years to life in prison if convicted. So there you go. That's an update for that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
You caught the Cosby thing.
Yeah, I saw Cosby. It was sort of mentioned. It's tangential.
It's related.
I'm like, this doesn't seem fair. I'm like, because he's a
black man, he gets all the breaks.
I was like, he's a dude, and he's an actually convicted rapist, but he's getting $1 million bail, which is not which is not a small amount.
Yeah.
But she's being accused of,
what was that?
She gets a $5 million bail.
What was the other guy? The other thing that was kind of news. I don't know if you caught that. The Golden Gate killer rapist person.
There was this long time, one of the longest running serial killers apparently was caught recently, and it turned out he was this former cop, and he's just been murdering folks, dozens of people, and breaking into people's homes for the last 30 or 40 years or whatever, and they finally were able to catch him using Ancestry.com and some loading up the DNA they had to see what matches there were. And so there's this whole controversy digitally about, how can the police, without warrant or consent to these other people, use their DNA in their investigation? And technically they didn't break the law. These were all publicly available services, but because they were police in investigative capacity, there are issues of the government essentially using your DNA without your rights.
I like it. Anyway, did you catch the connection of that between that and Patton Oswalt's old wife? Because she was a crime writer?
Did not catch that at all. If you want to share.
Well, the whole thing on the news on that with Patton Oswalt's late belated past wife.
Right.
She was actually a crime writing person, right, and a lot of her books were based on real people. Her last book was actually based off this character.
Oh, the killer, you mean?
The killer, and there's not the scary whatever weird coincidence on it. Towards the end of the book, she even mentioned that this guy will be caught. This guy will be doing his time.
Well, that statement is saying about anybody. Eventually, everybody's going to get caught. Hopefully serial killer will be, captured. Mm-hmm.
But the thing is the coincidence of all the kind of things that are connected in the storyline, because she actually goes finds stuff on the actual killer. You know, depending on the way he kills, the way he rapes, the way he whatever his connection, where he lived, and all that. But everything was like almost to a T that they felt like it connected them together and kind of led them to that point. So it was just a lot of coincidence. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, maybe some folks will pick up her book and help Patton Oswalt
for that kid money.
Raise those kids. Yeah,
but,
we'll call it the post-mortem. What's it called? Child support.
Dark, but okay, dark, but I get it. But yeah,
that's right. One. Okay, now another Little PG news. This one's
Hitler Dog.
To Hitler Dog. Yeah, update on Hitler Dog. Remember last month we talked about Scottish YouTuber comedian Mark Meechan. He was arrested for essentially teaching his dog or his girlfriend's dog to hail Hitler whenever he saw Hitler on the screen, or he actually also trained him to like raise his little paw on a Hail Hitler signal to whenever heard Sel Heig,
Sieg Heil,
saw the Nazi Party, and also when he saw like Jews being gassed on the internet. So that was the big hullabaloo on the internet for free speech advocates, for people who don't feel that those humor, even if it's dark and inappropriate, should be censored by any kind of government. But again, this is not the United States. This is an entirely different country. Everybody has different rules. So he was arrested, and it came out this week that he's not going to jail for this crime. He was convicted, of course, found guilty of a hate crime after posting a video, again, of his girlfriend's dog named Buddha, raising his paw to the word Sieg Heil, and he was fined 800 pounds, or about $1,116 USA. So that was his final thing. So he didn't go to jail. So I think everybody's happy about that, including himself, but he was fined.
It's weird because, like I would understand if she trained your dog to actually bark at people, like you see, I've heard of stories of these racist dogs that bark at black people and whatnot. I would understand if you had a parrot or a parakeet that would repeat like really bad words and stuff like that.
So kind of the same thing, that you're specifically training a dog to enact a hate speech kind of concept, and even though it's a dog, so it's like kind of funny,
but it's not barking or like it's an attack.
But it is still, I mean, from the point of view of this particular court with these particular judges, their point was that this is not funny, even if you mean it to be so. Hate speech against Jews was a real thing, and millions of people died.
So it crosses over to species of animals.
It's more about like the thing that he did. If he was like
ethics of it.
Well, yeah, of like this was a serious thing that happened in history. Like literally millions of people were murdered over it, and the judges did not find the evidence that this was compelling as free speech, more than basically showing the signal that this kind of speech and attitude towards ethnic groups is not appropriate in our particular country according to our particular view of the laws, and this is your penalty. Like he could have faced like years in jail. Like hate speech crimes have rather stiff penalties in addition to whatever other crimes they're associated with. So they kind of went with the lower end of that particular version of that conviction, and still while sending the message that this kind of stuff is not okay for our country.
So do you think they'll ever change the name?
Message motivated.
Do you think they'll ever change the name of certain animals then just because of the color references? So you can't call something the black this.
Well, those are all obviously the extensions of this kind of concept. Where's the line where the government can stop certain words or certain speech patterns or certain concepts from being proliferated or verbally spoken if they're starting here? And that's always the concern of free speech advocates of like any kind of government censorship, is especially in the United States, is viewed as very negatively because we always feel like it's a slippery slope where once this government starts getting involved in this, it can very quickly spin out of control.
Yeah, one thing that was kind of like a joke, which I was young, so I kind of didn't question it, but as I got older, I understood certain things. I was like, oh, wow, that's what it meant. Like old muscle shirt tank top thingies, they used to call them wife beaters. And I'm like, when you're little, I'm like, I thought it was just a name. Right. But until you got older, you're like, oh. You're like, ugh, kind of funny.
Yeah, but like I said, words have power, words have meaning, words have effects on people. And so sometimes there are just these consequences that you may or may not feel. Because some people feel like free speech should be totally blanket purpose. Like there should be no negative consequences forever because of it's speech and it's free. I'm like, no,
the PC-ness
that's
of
not
things.
it. That's like your speech will always have a consequence, whether it's positive or negative, whether it's good or bad, with community members and other human beings. You're not an isolated, individual in the universe. Your words actually carry through space to other people and have an impact. What free speech really is about, as far as like the United States Constitution, like the government not interfering with that, not that you should not have consequences for your speech. You know what I mean? And so that's a very fine difference between that, and sometimes people get confused in that, and that they feel like they can say whatever they want, and nobody should ever tell them anything.
How do you feel about do you consider seeing races connection between certain foods and ethnicities?
I guess I kind of know what you mean. Is it racist? It depends on a lot of like racist speech, and a lot of concepts are very much motivated in intent. So if your intent is to stereotype a certain person or a certain ethnic group or racial group based upon food or whatever else, then if your intent is to marginalize them, it's racist. But if you're just like noting a correlation, like oh look, that person happens to like this particular food, is that racist in intent? Maybe it may or may not. It kind of depends on the context.
No, totally get you, because that's why I always wondered, like, especially, and this is just me throwing out there, like when you watch a commercial,
right?
Is it racist, especially if it's a fried chicken commercial, to have black people on it?
Well, those commercials in particular, they actually change them. They'll show black people, and they'll broadcast those in black neighborhoods, and they'll show Hispanic people in Hispanic neighborhoods, and they'll have white people in other neighborhoods. So in that particular context, they're just speaking to the audience that they're trying to get to buy their stuff. So I don't know if it's necessarily intended to be racist, but it can be taken that way.
Yeah, because I know
generally why like you have like multiple ethnic groups in the same picture, so it's like everybody can enjoy this fried delicious chicken.
Exactly. I think the only way you could pull that off is you have those commercials take place at the UN, so everybody can have it.
Everybody in the world loves fried chicken.
Exactly.
Okay, so there you go. That
like
folks is your PSA about racism and apparently hate speech. The more you know. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fried chicken is delicious.
Fried chicken is delicious. We're getting Thai food after this, man. So what are you talking about?
Thai, yeah. Brown folks eat Thai food.
Okay, on to our next story. This one's a little more fun. I actually think this is one that I picked out for you specifically. This week, Japanese engineers unveiled a robot that transforms into a car that can actually carry people on board. Let me actually pull up the video while we see this.
Yes, I have seen this.
Let's see.
And
I'm trying to read it at the same time.
And I've seen a couple versions of it, especially the earlier, I'm going to call it like a prototype of this, where it's a real car. It actually drives. It moves around and everything. But it actually can, I guess, say piloted or driven by people in it. The only thing that I found questionable is the design on it and the functionality.
Well, I'm not sure if it actually drives or not, but you do see in the video on YouTube that we've pulled up for the video version of the podcast that it actually can walk at a speed of like 100 meters per hour, which is like 0.6 miles per hour. It's not very fast.
An infant can outwalk it.
It does. An infant probably could outwalk it, but it can actually hold two people, and it'll transform from car mode into robot mode, which is not easy, especially if you want all those moving parts to still function at the end of it. It actually is a very challenging thing to do.
I like the little oddly on the bottom right corner. It was cool, but honestly, I wish it was just a display, something.
I think there's another version of this, like where one does it faster and it moves a little better, but there's no human component sitting in it.
Yes, I think it would work great as a feature at like a theme park like Universal Studios, just for show, like an actual transforming. You could have somebody do the voiceover. Yeah. The cool thing about it, actually, they did show the people in it as it transformed. Yeah. The only part that I found funny, because I remember watching like an old Clerks cartoon, that if a person was actually in the car while it was transforming, they would have got crushed to death. Because as much as it folds,
changes,
exactly,
it's like,
exactly,
body killer.
But no weapons on it, at least to the best of my knowledge that I got on it.
It does have gloomy eyes. You never know if you have like lasers in there.
No.
This could be a secret weapon.
And it did give it the samurai kind of Gundam kind of look to it. So look-wise, cool. Concept, cool. Functionality, not the greatest in the world. But
it's just an idea. It's a concept, man.
Yeah, it's nice.
So, there you go. Okay, on to our next story, which is actually about Amazon. If I can pull it up correctly. Maybe not.
No.
There it is. This is a story about Amazon and their new kind of delivery service. It is... Okay. TechCrunch Reporter reported this week describing their experience with Amazon's latest package delivery model. Apparently, Amazon now can deliver packages not just to your home, but to your vehicle. They'll actually unlock it, they'll put your package in, they'll lock it back up, and then they'll take off. Now, the way they can do this is like it's very specialized with particular types of vehicles of like wireless entry services, and so they get that information. They work with your manufacturer to get it, and then you kind of sign up for this online delivery service. Now, this is already part of a service that they currently do. It's called Amazon Key Service. And that service, basically, if you give Amazon, you have to install like a particular combination lock code on your front door, along with the camera, so you can see who's coming and going. But with that particular service, you're basically giving Amazon direct access to your home by having them punch in a code, enter, drop off your packages, and then like close up, unlock, close your door, and leave. Apparently, this is kind of an extension then that instead of going to your home, it goes to your car, but you're still giving somebody some very interesting access to your property one way or another. Is there something you think you'd be comfortable doing, man?
A lot of pros and cons with that. Honestly, I wouldn't trust anybody to get into my car. I don't care who you are. My thing is, especially now that we've evolved so far of accepting that Amazon is part of life for a lot of people, depending, of course, your home life, depending if you live in an apartment or a house or anything, you think we would have an appropriate drop-off box. Compared to the need to...
Well, they have drop-off services. Like, they have essentially places where they'll drop a package and you can just pick them up wherever you want to, like, centralize, mostly in larger cities. It's almost like a P.O. box specifically just for packages. Like, those things like, here's your box in this particular, like, cubby hole with like, a particular code you have to use to enter it.
Oh, yeah.
And then it unlocks and opens.
Because I've gotten like a couple times where, depending if your package is too big, that you had to go pick it up at the post office.
Right.
But especially depending, I guess, what you're getting delivered, I think we need like a new like a safe box. But once again, depending on your home style.
Yeah, so kind of like a P.O. box-ish, or like just like a better like mailbox, essentially, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
Something like bigger that you can drop things in. Hopefully not people, but...
Yeah, I'm going to feel like it's going to eventually become of the outdoor like business area of a mailbox, like traditionally a little thing you drop off in that. I feel like that's what's going to eventually become to the point with a lot of homes now. Because depending on what you're getting delivered and how big it is. Because if it's something that could fit in the mailbox, obviously, self-explained, it's going to go right in the mailbox. But when you get those big box packages, it feels
like it's just cheaper to hire a servant to like just be there to accept if that's like a really big deal to you, like leaving your packages in a neighborhood. Then like just hire somebody to be there, or it seems cheaper than building a special mailbox.
Yeah, I feel like it is going to be like a little funny, semi-futuristic, since we're in the future now. Is pretty much have a little treadmill kind of deal where you leave your received package right on there, then it just wheels it up to your front door. Because once again, it's depending on how your home
robot servants, that would be awesome.
Yeah, because depending on how your home is set up, because it's hard. Honestly, you can't trust a lot of people. There's a lot of neighborhoods, even mailboxes get broken into real easy. So it's like, instead of having that really efficient service of just it thrown over your fence and, hopefully it lands into your area, you want it to be all in one piece. So I'm thinking a little like platform on a little conveyor belt, but if the robot way would be definitely way better. I think concept would be cool. Different
concept. So this is one for some people. This works. It's obviously working for somebody, but they're still doing it.
Are you good with that? Do you trust somebody going into your car and into your house?
I would be more comfortable with the car, I guess, because just because they can access it doesn't mean they can start it. But if they can access your home, they got all your stuff. And so even if they are on camera, it's like, oh, okay, well, there you go. And it's supposed to be like a one-time use code that they can use to get into your home. So it's not like they can pass on the code to somebody else to like break into your house necessarily. But at the same time, you're kind of telling them, oh, I may not be at home. So that information can be used. Yeah,
especially how shady your delivery guy is. Everybody knows a guy that has that cousin that's willing to do the dirty work.
Absolutely. Okay. Next story. Amazon, or actually Fox. Fox this time is actually doing a really interesting concept with like film. They're going to make a choose your own adventure film. Essentially, if you're probably about age, about 30s, you might remember. Earlier in the 1980s and 90s, there's a whole series of books that were choose your own adventure. They still exist. Essentially, you go through, you read the novel, you read the story, and you get different choices. And depending on the choice you made, you would go different part of the book. And so the story would change as you read it, as you completed. And so you could always go back and like make different choices and get different endings for your story.
Never did that.
So it's a very interesting concept. It kind of went away when we got video games because video games essentially do the same thing if they're made well, and that you can have different endings or different story paths by making different choices. However, again, Fox is in the works to actually do this for film. The whole concept essentially comes around where people are going to vote in the theater while they're actually watching the movie on an app called Control Movie. And depending on the majority of the vote in the theater, the movie will change. And you guys see concepts for this right now on YouTube where they have like longer format stories where there's like you see an episode and it stops at a particular point in the episode story. You're like, oh, if you want them to do this thing, you click on this link, and if you want them to do this thing, you click on this link. And depending on which link you click, obviously, then you get a different ending or different choice for that particular story character. Yeah. And this can branch off into many different paths where it can be super long, you like 7 or 8 different endings for a particular story depending on the choices, combination of choices that you make. But this seems interesting to me.
D&D.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not really D&D as much as like storytelling, and in this way it's almost collaborative storytelling because everybody in the theater gets a vote.
Yeah, it seems like a lot more work, but I'm not complaining about it.
Yeah, it is a lot more work.
I like the options on it because that's how it was with a lot of like RPG games, especially the ones you hooked me up with. It was like, all right, so do you either save the girl, let her die, or do you use this tool or not leave that behind or whatever? A
lot of like if you
agree with
the different version of this would be the Telltale games, like for Batman,
there you go,
Guardians of the Galaxy or wherever. Telltale does a lot of these like almost choose your own adventure stories where you're making different choices while you're playing, while this game is unfolding in front of you. Like a lot of it's just storytelling, and you kind of make choices and you do little button mashes. Yeah. But the endings on these different things can change, and they can actually carry over into different episodes, like episode 2, 3, 4, whatever. And those same choices can impact that longer version of the storyline too. So, there are video games versions ready. I'm just like, oh, this is a new concept for actual going to a theater and doing it, because it could lead to like more repetitive, like seeing this film 2 or 3 times just so you could see all the endings potentially.
Any other book series other than your own?
Yeah,
plug. I can't turn over and plug it. Other than your own book series, any book series out there right now that you would like to see?
I think Game of Thrones would probably be really good. Like people can choose who dies. I think that would be an interesting concept for a lot of fans of that particular series. It's like, people are gonna die anyways in that series. So it's like, oh, who do we want to die in this particular episode? This guy is a douche, and that would be the choice.
I feel the same way with Sweet Valley High and the Babysitters Club.
Yeah, see, all kinds of stuff to do. Okay, next story, Moviepass. This is one of the most popular things out right now. Like almost everybody who goes to the theaters is using this thing because it's unlimited movies, like one per day, for like $10, basically. But things might change with that particular concept. Moviepass's parent company, Helios and Matheson, lost $150 million in 2017, so that was a pretty big loss. The year previous to that, they lost $7.4 million, so that's a pretty big jump there. Audits call this a growing concern within the company, although Moviepass itself says that they have enough money to survive, but they also expect to turn a profit by 2019. But things are changing for the company as a whole. Moviepass is trying new things. They've added a partnership with iHeartRadio, and new signups apparently are going to be limited to 4 movies per month instead of the previous 30 movies per month. And honestly, I don't know that many people who will go 30 times to the movies every single month. But I'm sure there are a few people who are definitely trying to exploit this for like those movie credit points or whatever. Personally, I just recently got an email from like Moviepass saying that they're forcing myself into a beta version of the service where they're going to have me upload a photo of the ticket stub after the movie or after purchase to prove that I actually used it for some reason, and if before I can actually try to watch another movie. And if I don't comply, apparently they said that I risk my account, and that if my account is canceled because of it, that I can't sign up for the service ever again. And they're saying like, oh, it's to prevent fraud. And I'm like, who's frauding? I'm like, it doesn't really make a ton of sense, and it doesn't solve it by like, oh, taking a photo of the stub.
Well, true.
So all kinds of interesting things here.
Well, did you catch the scam? One of the scams that we're doing with Moviepass.
What was that scam?
The one scam was because they were also wanting to make sure that people could only watch one movie a day. and
Yeah.
only that same movie only once. Because what other
Well,
thing?
no, I don't think there was ever any like limitation with like not seeing that same movie more than once ever.
No, because they were making sure that you only saw that movie once. Because reason is, the one scam was a lot of people would go see the movie and whatnot. Then they would eventually go see that same movie again through Moviepass, not watch it themselves, and sell that ticket.
Yeah.
Even for selling it for whatever cheap kind of
It
thing.
doesn't matter if it's like a buck. It's free for you. I mean,
It's free for you, but the people were making money off of that. That was the whole
it's
concept.
essentially kind of reselling service, and you don't. And again, there's nothing in the terms of service that you can't watch one movie more than once. I mean, my wife is on the same service, and she's watched. I think she watched Pitch Perfect 3 like 5 times. Because she likes the movie, but also like, there were limited things that she was interested in the theater at that particular moment.
Yeah.
And that there's again nothing illegal. The terms of service just
No.
say you one movie per day, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so again, I don't see how this ever stops that because you're just taking a picture of your same ticket.
Yeah.
And so again, you could very well do a resale service where you offer your movie service passes to like people and like, oh, it'll cost you $1. I'll meet you at the theater. We'll do the thing. I give you the ticket and you take off, and that's fine. That's totally legal. There's nothing wrong about that. There's nothing illegal about that. It's just like it doesn't benefit the movie company,
Yep.
and it kind of like skews their data a little bit.
It's all about the loopholes.
Which is more about like them using data services and like data information collection to like sell them other movie companies.
Yeah, it's all about the loophole and the hustle. I'm sorry,
like
somebody figured it out.
Yeah, and again, nothing illegal in the terms of service of doing that.
Yeah.
So there you go. Like I said, but again, it's an interesting service. I've enjoyed it. I've watched more movies in the last 6 months than I have in like the last, I don't know, probably 3 years prior to that.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, oh, anytime you want to go watch a movie and feel like slightly interested, you're like, oh, it's not costing me anything extra. As long as you like watch one movie a month, the thing kind of pays for itself.
Oh, totally.
So I'm like, there you go. But again, financially, kind of ishy. Like, how did they make money? That's always the question with this particular service. Okay, next story in entertainment stuff, we have the return of Double Dare. Yay, or pay or no. Apparently, Double Dare is going to be coming back this summer. There are going to be several episodes. I think there are going to be 40 new episodes starting this. Yeah, there are going to be 40 new episodes starting this summer. The host has not been announced, but it's going to be on Nickelodeon, so it's going to be interesting. Hope you remember watching this particular show?
Totally. This is a time where if you were one of the lucky children and actually had cable, this was an access to you. This is during the golden era, I like to call, of Nickelodeon, where it was actually a very family-friendly show that actually had even family Double Dare.
I mean, I don't know if like Rocko's Modern Life was ever like particularly family friendly. Either was Ren and Stimpy.
Well, that's if you were looking into the thing, but I'm talking about like the Double Dare
in general,
itself.
this is definitely a family friendly family friendly show. Obstacle course kind of stuff, a little gross, but it's like goofy gross.
It was funny.
It's very funny to children to watch this kind of thing. Oh, Hans joins. Hey, Hans, how you doing?
To
man?
see your family members, to see even somebody like a kid your age going into a fake nose, going through all the boogers, trying to pick out get the flag and all that. There've even been a lot of even shows where they've done like a semi crossover where they gone to on the show of Double Dare to compete.
Yeah, there's some like there's a super sloppy Double Dare, Family Double Dare, and Double Dare 2000.
Yeah,
when they tried to reboot it before.
So he's not totally out of age to be able to host it anymore. But Mark Summers was one of the kids hosts that he grew up with.
They did one at I think Comic-Con recently.
Yeah.
And he was actually the host, and a bunch of like adults who were probably too old to do this kind of stuff did it, and apparently it was really successful, which is why it led into like, oh, maybe there's an audience for this kind of thing still.
Totally, because nobody has fun like that anymore. Nobody actually goes out and experiences things.
Well, there are fewer like physical shows involving children like this. There are other ones like American Ninja Warrior. There are a couple other ones where they were like more geared towards like adults doing weird, crazy things, and this one was like, oh, just kind of family friendly, but it's really geared towards kids. Like, oh, I would love to be on that show and get goofy and messy and gross.
That was one of the peaks of going to Universal Studios when they had their own little Nickelodeon section. They had their own little family Double Dare interactive thing, which seemed like a lot of fun, but it was just a matter if you willing to get messy, because you would get messy.
You would get messy. Okay. Next entertainment story, we have Tom Hiddleston. He's been working overtime to promote the new Avengers movie, which you've seen. No spoilers from us, folks. Did you like it?
Yes.
Yeah, so he liked it. So there you go, folks. That's what he'll say about it. One of the more interesting questions he was asked recently was what other Marvel character he would like to play. His answer was Captain Britain and possibly Galactus. So those were his 2 choices for other characters besides Loki. With his pokey stick, he would like to pick Captain Britain, which seems like a lot of work. Because it's very much like Captain America, yeah, and he would have to go through that Chris Evans kind of build-up mode, and that guy's skinny.
Yeah.
Galactus seems easier. Like, he's full-on CGI, basically.
He could literally just be...
Yeah.
Even the features of his face.
It's all covered. You probably won't tell TomHiddleston's there, but still.
Avoid the voice.
Yeah, interesting character. I don't know that we will see him outside of, like, a Fantastic Four reboot or, like, crossover thing, but maybe, like, when Disney buys Fox, we'll see that.
I don't know if he's too old or even limber enough. I could see him pull off Nightcrawler.
No way, he's way too old for that. Like, you need,
that's what I'm saying.
You need like gymnastics dude who are like young and bendy.
CG that part, then
what's the point? Like having them there, then like, you could CGI anybody. Like, just put him in a suit.
That's true.
I mean, there are lots of like young, flexible kids who are willing to play that one.
Anything you could recommend him playing, like look wise? Ooh, you know what? Sauron, the big pterodactyl from the X-Men universe.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like, wait, we already have a Sauron from Lord of the Rings. What are you talking about?
Different Sauron.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. I could see that. I guess. Very flappy. Lots of work though. Like,
it's all CG, but he definitely have to avoid the voice.
Any CGI character, I guess we could all agree he could probably play pretty well.
Yeah, pretty much, because physically.
Yeah. Well, he's fine. He has a look. He has a following. I mean, so he's definitely hot right now. Mm-hmm. Okay. In other entertainment geek news, we have Peter, who's a named character in Deadpool 2. He apparently has his own verified Twitter account. And this week, he introduced the other members of the X-Force as if, like, this is a real thing. He actually took pictures of them, like, in these candid poses and give descriptions of who they are. So as, like, us as readers, he's telling us who these actors are playing, like, who their characters are. So if you don't want spoilers for that movie, skip ahead or cover your ears, whatever you want to do. But apparently, here are the characters. Skarsgård, Pennywise from It, is playing Zeitgeist. And apparently, according to the Marvel Wiki, Zeitgeist is a mutant with the ability to spew gelatinous, energized ooze from his mouth.
So it would be like Toad.
Acid boogers. Acid, loogies, yeah. Zazie Betts is playing Domino. And as it says, she has the power of luck. Apparently, her powers are more complex than that, but that's a simplified version, I guess.
Almost like Longshot.
Yeah, kind of like Longshot. Terry Crew is playing Bedlam, a character who can, in the comics, utilize his powers to scan the environment for other pre-existing energy fields. In the Twitter, in the tweet, it says he has electricity powers. So there's that. And then there's Louis Tan as Shatterstar, a character Peter describes as a super good-looking karate-fighting alien from space. So that would be the Asian dude.
Yeah.
So that's that guy. So there you go, that's folks. That's going to be X-Force in the next upcoming Deadpool 2 movie.
Missing comer to the original team, depending if you're going there's the modern version with Archangel, and then there's the original comic book version with Cable as the leader.
Yeah, so this is the X-Force. That's not all the characters in the movie. There's still plenty of other people there that they haven't necessarily identified, but this is the X-Force.
Yeah,
so
because
interesting.
I think I saw Warpath. I'm not sure if he was in it or not, because they had looked like a Native American guy.
Yeah, so that was like, oh, maybe that's Warpath. He actually shows up in was the other X-Men movie, the X-Men television show. I think it was for the...
Oh, yes. I
forget what that show was called, though.
If it's not the Runaways, if it's not the New Mutants, it's Legion?
Else. No, it wasn't Legion. It was a Fox show. I don't know that it got too many episodes, but it definitely did like Young Mutant kind of thing going on.
I remember.
I forget what it's called, though. But it had like Blink or somebody, and also Warpath, so there you go. Things, folks. Okay, in other entertainment news, they're going to reboot Doom, the movie. Again, if you never watched the first Doom, you weren't missing anything, folks. It was supposed to be based off like the recently released Doom video game franchise, and it was kind of bad. Apparently, though, they are rebooting it. It's going to be a direct to DVD or streaming platform for Universal's non-film division. So that's probably why you haven't heard of it. But they are going to do a Doom reboot. So that's a thing.
I keep confusing Doom with
Duke Nukem?
No, no, with Wolfenstein, because I keep thinking of it's the same 3D first-person shooter.
Yeah, it's all those early like first-person shooters. Yeah,
but I confused the aliens with the zombie Nazis.
Yeah, I would rather watch Wolfenstein, to be honest, because that's at least interesting instead of just being shoot demons that appear. It's that shoot zombie Nazis, and there's like a whole Nazi thing you can do.
Storyline.
Like World War II, yeah. The whole storyline. A Wolfenstein, I think it's 2 or 3 or whatever, that came out recently, got really good reviews for like not just the combat, but also
it was
interesting
really well done.
kind of storyline. Did you play it?
No, but I saw the trailers and everything
There you go,
for it. I was like, "Whoa, wow! How am I not playing this game?"
I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I don't have time
That's the honest truth. Let's be honest.
for that guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Okay. Another news: we got Star Wars coming out with a new animated series called Star Wars Resistance. If that sounds familiar, you might have already heard of Star Wars Rebels. This seems to be the same thing, just set 30 years afterwards or something. Like Star Wars Rebels starts after episode, I think, 6
In betweener.
6 in the franchise. It very much is like, oh, the rebels like trying to fight the Empire or something. And so you see Admiral Tharn in that, and you see a bunch of other characters. I think Boba Fett shows up right there, as do like all the like some of the more original like Star Wars cast, like not you see probably Han Solo shows up in there as like Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so it very much it's supposed to be like after like the Clone Wars into like the new like regular franchise. Star Wars Resistance is set prior to Star Wars The Force Awakens. So again, kind of another in-betweener. You'll see BB-8 alongside some ace pilots, and you'll see fan favorites appear in there, including Poe Dameron, Captain Phasma, actually voiced by their actual actors, the people who are playing them in the real film. So there we go. It's supposed to be out at some point in the future. I kind of think of it as a Star Wars Rebels ripoff, but that doesn't necessarily make it bad.
Did you watch Star Wars Rebels?
I've seen some of it off and on, and it gets really good reviews, and there are a bunch of good fans about like if they've like kept up with the storyline. But it's not something I've been super into. But you know, it apparently has a good storyline, especially once Admiral Thrawn shows up. That's supposed to be like a really good like path.
It was so well done. It was
Have
like
you seen the entire series?
The Star Wars Rebels, not every single episode, but the ones that I did caught, it was just so well done. It was like people were wanting a live version of that because it was so well done.
It's original. It's not the same Star Wars stuff before. Now everybody has force powers, so it feels a little more like the original like trilogy, I think.
Yeah, people were even wanting to see, especially when they saw the Star Wars Resistance, they were hoping for a Ahsoka storyline,
right?
Like her own series, because her storyline would be awesome alone. Because you know everybody wondered what happened to her. Where'd she go? Where'd she come from?
She dies.
Well, it kind of did that. Really, like what happened when you see her and Anakin or Vader, and you see the little trapdoor close down, and you just don't know. Yeah, and the don't know part is like
they got in this clip like her facing off against her old teacher.
Exactly. So they just left it like, did she survive? Did she not survive?
There were some Twi'leks who died in those movies, folks. I don't know if you remember seeing that.
Yeah, that's true. So let's talk more Disney. Let's talk more franchise.
Okay, one more bit of Disney news. We have our first look at the live-action version of Dumbo.
Everybody?
Aww. And it does look super adorable. You couldn't have gotten the same thing with an actual elephant, which is why I'm glad they went the CGI version. Those big anime-ish eyes and those big ears. Good stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to remember if I'm correct. Is this the version that's being directed by Tim Burton?
Yeah, this is the Tim Burton version. They showed off some of the film footage at CinemaCon, which happened out recently, and a bunch of these stories we talked about recently. These are like, things that had leaked from that particular con. People like are showing like their early like trailers and whatever for this particular their franchise, and this was one of them. Somebody snuck a picture, put it on the internet. And it's pretty cute.
Not complaining. You think, especially being Tim Burton, it'd be more emoed out, though.
Maybe he'll eventually get like this weird, disability where his legs get really skinny or something. I don't know.
That or that little comb over kind of dark hair. Start wearing some guy liner.
Maybe the rat's going to be like all emoed out.
A little pale, little guy liner. Listen to a little Chemical Romance in the background.
See? There you go.
Soundtrack probably.
But yeah, so far it looks pretty cute. Okay, just one more for fun. This one is just like a fun story that I thought was interesting. Hugh Jackman was trying to do a birthday message, and guess who crashed? It was Deadpool. I mean, he's in the background singing. I'm not sure if we can play this for you because
the sun will come out.
I think we'll get like tagged as like I don't know copyright.
It's pretty much from Annie.
Yeah,
sun will come out tomorrow.
It's super cute. Like you see that actually Ryan Reynolds in the suit in his hotel room,
which means he just happened just to carry that outfit with him anywhere.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I think they're friends.
They are.
That definitely kind of makes me happy to know that my X-Men people are friends.
Especially seeing, obviously the claws are now, but it's Wolverine. Let's be honest. Hugh Jackman will always be Wolverine.
Yeah.
And, there's always been the hints of Wolverine making a cameo in the Deadpool movie. Who knows? In Deadpool 2, maybe.
Maybe once again, all this franchise stuff gets bought by somebody.
Oh,
once Disney owns everybody, then it's like not an issue anymore, and they can now show up. But until then, that was just kind of a fun thing.
Honestly, if I had the body and had the outfit with me anywhere, if I was like depending on a semi-typecast as a superhero, I would have it with me all the time. I would have the costume. I would have the gear. Say
it's great publicity. Like the viral marketing on this entire franchise for Deadpool has been really good. Whether it's going to be like verified Twitter accounts for particular characters or Deadpool's like cameos, or like the YouTube messages that happen, or the like stupid little like fun like YouTube trailers that they do that have been done to do the actual movie, but like just weird things that relate to Deadpool that Ryan Reynolds does. Like it's all great, inexpensive like marketing campaign stuff.
My thing is, the movie's going to be awesome as soon as it's over, especially because of the Disney thing is what will happen if they make a part 3.
Yeah, lots of curious. I mean, I think they were surprised that they're going to get part 2. They weren't sure. I don't think anybody was really sure when they were making it if it was going to be a hit or not. So they, I don't think they planned for a part 3 yet. So, one movie at a time, folks. Okay, on to our last little segment of the show, movie trailer showdowns. We have 4 trailers for you folks. 4 trailers walk in, only one comes out the winner. We're going to begin with the trailer for Kin, which does not have an awesome sounding name, but the trailer does sound pretty awesome. I think you have, what's it called, Emily Clark in here. And you also have Dennis Quaid in here. Interesting people who are in the movie, including a bunch of people you probably don't recognize or know. But it's basically, kid has a brother he's on the wrong side of the law. He's kind of a troublemaker. The kid, is kind of seem like he might be going down that same path. His dad's trying to help him out and like not do it. The kid, is an explorer. He finds some secret alien weaponry or something like that. And it kind of goes down the path where he's trying to protect his brother when he finds that he's in a bad spot. And, then it's like a heist, like chase movie almost. So it's interesting. I think has some legs. Did you watch the trailer already?
Yes. I'm trying to remember that one movie. What's the semi-alien movie? I think is like Plant 9 or... Is it Plant 9? The one where this alien race lives on Earth. It's almost like a mock Africa.
Oh, you mean like
thing.
District 9?
District 9.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Yeah. It almost gave me a feel like it's something like that where, you happen to find alien tech and whatnot, and then there's, the aliens trying to get it back.
Right.
They're very humanoid. You don't see them because they're wearing full body armor outfit.
I'm not sure if they're aliens or if they're just like secret government agents. Like this is a...
crazy future tech.
Well, not even like future tech, because like, the government's just testing this out, and this is their technology. It might be from the future. It might actually be aliens. Like none of the tech you see here is like super far advanced, but that's part of the draw, I think, for the trailers. Like you don't really know what's happening on the tech side and who's chasing who. Like you see some of the other things, like the bad guys trying to get the technology for their own benefit, but then you see like these dudes who are watching, like just kind of dudes in like these mech suits almost.
Yeah.
So like I said, very interesting. But they're also like humanoidish aliens. So like, maybe they're just from the future or from some government thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Next trailer, Venom CinemaCon trailer. We mentioned this before. Like this was originally a leaked trailer. Like originally it was a leaked trailer. It wasn't supposed to be shown on the internet. Somebody recorded on their cell phone and they released it. And so the studios basically made a great decision saying, if it's already out there, we might as well show it to people and see what they think about it.
I think they learned from also Deadpool.
Instead of like trying to grab it back and like put the genie in the bottle, like, we'll just run with this.
Yeah. And it was good. This is the only spoiler for Infinity War. You'll see this trailer in the theater.
Oh, that's good.
So you'll see it in the big screen. And it's done very well and is the Venom character everybody wanted to see.
That's the exact trailer, right?
Yeah, this exact same trailer. No extra bonus.
A lot of the footage for this particular trailer is not new. The only footage that you'll see that's really exciting and new is like the Venom footage, like when he's wearing the costume and when you see him actually using it.
And the interaction, you hear the inner voice, the inner dialogue.
Yeah, you hear a little like Venom in there.
We, this, it's there's a lot of people were geeking out on it, yes, but a lot of other people, there's the pros and cons. They're like, how can you have him have the Venom abilities if there's no Spider-Man? You can't have Venom without Spider-Man. Well, obviously it's done. It's happening.
It's a thing.
Can't complain.
They're we don't know how they're connecting it. Maybe this is the symbiote that they capture after it gets to Spider-Man or something. There is precedent, obviously, that this Venom does exist in that universe.
But what's awesome, they made him look like the comic book character.
Yeah, it's a very small peeker at the end.
Yeah,
and some people are kind of mad that he looks this goofy. Like we're supposed to be looking at the vast last little like few seconds of this trailer where you see the Venom face as it's coming over the main character's face.
But he has the teeth everybody wants. He has the tongue everybody wants.
He does, but like I think it's the eyes that are throwing people off, like, and the general like look of the face, especially in proportion to the body.
Yeah,
the people are like, oh, that doesn't quite look like Venom to me. And so there's a very big like divide. They've been like, oh, people who like it and people who don't, and people who don't care. Like I'm actually okay with all the other footage of like the Venom powers, like just like the streams of black coming out, extra arms, whatever that's using as. I'm like, oh, that makes sense for the character.
Yeah,
it kind of fits into like the Spider-Man like web sling kind of stuff. The face itself to me looks kind of stupid. It does to me at least. Like if you blow it up,
because with the proportions and all that.
I think it's like just like how it's there, like proportionally to his head.
You got to think of it as like a helmet.
Like you don't need these white parts there specifically, and you don't have it to look exactly like it's covering his head. Like it can grow more mass, or it can grow like fewer mass. You know what I mean? It's just like by itself. It looks a little weird. Like maybe it's just like the first adjustment they'll have there, and it's all CGI anyways. Like they can adjust it at the end, like do market testing and see like, the market doesn't like this exact particular look, and they can adjust it. But for me, this look does not work well.
My only thing on is I want to see if they will, and I really doubt it though, will have the white spider emblem on his chest, on his back at all. But
we'll see. I'm hoping they will, because that's part of the Venom look. And of course, that can later connect it to Spider-Man at some point. Like maybe Spider-Man will make a cameo, maybe at the beginning, and that's how they justify this particular thing. Like he's touched by some alien symbiote thing somewhere, and it respawns or it replicates.
Well, that's the kind of the thing that we're talking about. Especially, this is just talk amongst the filmers, film that are working in the MCU. Especially after Infinity War, all that goes by, and after the Phase 4 becomes in action, they're talking about the next big one. Infinity Wars now, but the next big one would be Secret Wars,
right?
And that's where Spider-Man actually gets the black costume. That would be way
down the line. I think that would be like a long time waiting. I don't think they'll wait that long to make that connection if they want to do it. Okay, next one is going to be a commercial. Uncle Drew. Here we go. Okay, movie trailers. This is a spoof movie about Shaquille O'Neal and some basketball players coming out of retirement. They're not named the same names, but they're the actual like athletes coming to play basketball. It's a comedy. Have you seen this trailer before?
Yes. I forgot one movie I saw, but it came out on there, and it's interesting. It's very, what's the PC term to call this? I don't want to call it a funny? Black movie. I don't want to call it urban.
No, it's definitely about black people. It's about basketball and everything, but it's it's not just about black people, but it's like, the main characters are black. Yeah,
it's just pretty much like inner city, quote unquote. Like especially black
basketball humor.
It's pretty much because obviously there are white people in it, but it's not a majority. The only thing that's kind of cool is it's a little bit of the play of a young person wearing old people makeup, even though it's supposed to be an older character.
And honestly, they're not that much far from their actual like characters. Like Shaquille O'Neal was getting a little old, so him playing like makeup wise is
just older.
It's like slightly older. It's like they age him up like 15, 20 years. It's not like a huge jump. Same thing with a bunch of the other characters as well, which kind of makes sense as you get older. You're less popular as yourself as an athlete, so this is another route for all these different characters who still have huge fan bases in their own rights, and they all seem like they're very happy to make fun of themselves.
Oh yeah.
This respect. So good stuff all around. So I think it was interesting now. Last one is Woman Walks Ahead, which I don't think you said you had a chance to watch.
I just watched it. Interesting. Now it was like a take on like a Western.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's a Western. It's definitely set in the Western age. Woman, I forget her name, Jessica Chastain. She's an artist. She's in the Wild West. She's going west to paint the landscape and to paint the Indians before they're all murdered, including Chief Sitting Bull. And not everybody's happy about this, apparently, in the trailer. Like, there are accusations like she's trying to start a rebellion with the other Indian leaders and communities. And I thought that was a really interesting twist, and just like, oh, she's just there as, I don't know, I'm not really sure who she was. I thought she was originally, but this seems like a very kind of interesting movie. Like, there's some really interesting points about, native cultures standing up to like larger civilizations, and they never win. Obviously, history says so, but the act of doing so and standing up for your culture and your peoples, historically, like this, like, oh yeah, that's sort of what happened. Even though this is obviously fictionalized and
because honestly,
for entertainment,
real world, she would have been dead. Yeah. She would have been raped, killed, what have you, but dead. This is the whole story of giving this woman an opportunity to interact with a different culture, learn about the land.
Well, yeah, it's very like a little Dances with Wolves in that respect, but it's also like earning respect of other people and like understanding their cultures, and that is also a part of it. It's not just pandering. So, so we have 4 trailers, man. Kin, Venom, Uncle Drew, and One Walk Said. Which one worked for you the best?
Oh, Venom.
Venom worked for you?
Venom.
I'm actually going to say Kin. As much as I liked Venom, I'd seen most of it before, and like I said, the face stuff didn't work for me. But it was nice to see the extra stuff. Like, they eventually kind of just listened to audiences and said, "Yeah, we would like to see Venom."
Compared to the first trailer when they actually had Venom.
Yeah, that's one of those things. But for me, Kin was more interesting. It had a similar sci-fi respect to it, but it was new, and so for me, that made it more interesting to me. I'll probably watch them all. But there you go, folks. You have Kin and Venom being the winners. And that's it for the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for hanging out for us, for watching. Remember, if you want to support the podcast in any way, shape, or form, you can find all the ways to do so at...
Do it at geekbytespodcast.com/support.
There you go, folks. For Geek Bytes Podcast, I am Ramon Mejia.
I'm Edgardo Acosta.
And remember, folks, to go geek out about something.